This is 5.1 Societal Problem Presentation. Analyze value add of engaging stakeholders in program planning for PPA 521, Instructor Warner. I'd like to start off with the Oxford Political Science Dictionary's definition of stakeholder. One who has a stake in a business or a policy. In its modern usage, the word is deliberately contrasted with shareholder. A shareholder has a particular kind of stake, namely a share in capital. A stakeholder stake may be labor or land or a consumer interest in the business or policy. Political writers who talk of a stakeholder society therefore mean one in which interests over and above shareholders are effectively represented. The less defined the interest, the harder it is to see how the stake is to be claimed or protected. The second definition here is from the Community Toolbox provided by the course. Stakeholders are those who may be affected by or have an effect on an effort. They may also include people who have a strong interest in the effort for academic, philosophical, or political reasons, even though they and their family, friends, and associates are not directly affected by it. So the toolbox divides these stakeholders into three groups: the primary, so who's directly affected by a policy; the secondary stakeholders who may affect a policy; and a key stakeholder who is, for example, a public administrator who has the power to move resources. Stakeholders' interests can be many and varied: economics, social change, work, time, environment, physical health, safety and security, and mental health. So my project is with the latter, is physical health and mental health. So the Community Toolbox gives the directives to define the issue, define the outcomes intended to achieve, identify the nature of the population, explore the context. So my focus is going to be on community wellness and prevention of deterioration. I think this will focus around social connectedness and a sense of efficacy. And this will require health and development efforts involving collaborative partners as catalysts for change. This will result in a multi-pronged, multifaceted interventions, ideal or an ideal, and in general necessarily create real and permanent social change. So the outcomes will be intended to create risk reduction and protective factors for the community. So what I thought I would do is take some examples from my sustainability concentration on capacity building and demonstrate where I think stakeholders would have a great impact. So this figure is borrowed from Honadel, is in the references. The stakeholders would most likely be in the areas, concentrated in the areas circled here. So recruitment of personnel is a stakeholder area. At the first stage of anticipating change, we're trying to think who's going to be affected and how the stakeholders will react to possible policy. So when stakeholders are engaged in the abstract resources, they go through the process of absorbing the resources and managing the resources. And then to the second circled stage here, to how's it going to be evaluated to change the policy again, to adapt to what stakeholders think the needs will require. This figure is borrowed from Chaskin. This is a relational framework, and I think the stakeholders will be in the middle area here. So they'll have a sense of community, a sense of commitment, an ability to solve problems and access resources. They can be individuals, organizations, networks, and the functions they will do are planning and decision making, governance, producing services, and information dissemination. This is another figure borrowed from Chaskin. The figure describes the Neighborhood and Family Initiative in Milwaukee. It's building of community capacity. I believe the stakeholders are in section 2 that's circled. Formal organizations, community building organizations, and individuals that participate in the planning and governance of the services. They'll contribute to the outcomes, and then those outcomes will adapt to new strategies. Some references.